We're summoning undead and destabilizing dormitories. That's right, it's Black Rose Wars from Ludus Magnus. This War of the Wizards pits 2 to 4 mages against one another in a competition for power points, the winner of which will become the new master of the Black Rose artifact. Setup begins with the construction of the Black Rose Lodge. Place the Black Rose Room and Throne Room in the middle of the table, adjacent to one another in any formation. Shuffle the remaining room tiles and place them randomly, using the Black Rose Room as the center of the lodge. Depending on the number of players, shuffle the mage cells face down and place them randomly in these spots for a 2, 3, or 4-player game. Each non-cell location receives an activation token placed face up on the tile, with the exception of the Black Rose Room. That goes on the power board, placed alongside the map, along with the quest cards from the first moon phase and the evocation cards. The event board goes on the opposite side of the lodge and receives a first moon event deck and the damage/instability tokens of the Black Rose itself. Quest cards and event decks from other moon phases are going to swap in later in the game, so don't worry about them yet. If you're playing with less than 4 players, be sure to remove any quest cards with the triangular dot symbol in the lower left. Finally, determine the first player by selecting the person who last gave or received a rose and give them the first player crown. Starting with that player and proceeding clockwise, everybody chooses a mage. Mine's name is Rebecca. And take the matching mini and character sheet and pick a color, taking the matching damage/instability tokens, protection and trap tokens, and rose pens. Again, starting with that first player, each mage chooses their starting magic school, which no other player can pick, and then select from the available starting grimoires to create their spell card draw pile, placed to the left of their mage sheet. Place each player's point token and the Black Rose point token on the 0 space of the power track. Flip the mage cells and place each player's mini in the cell of their color. The magic school cards are then returned to the table and form the base for each deck of spell cards, including the forgotten spells, which will enter the game in the second moon phase. During the game, mages and the Black Rose itself will gain power points tracked on the power board. Once any token reaches the power point level of a new moon symbol, the next phase begins and the event and quest decks are exchanged. These new events and quests are more powerful and more dangerous. Additionally, in the second moon phase, the Black Rose Room activation token is moved to the tile, and players can now access the forgotten spells. These uber-powerful machinations are unique, and once cast, are removed from the game. Gameplay occurs over a series of turns, each divided into 6 phases: Black Rose Phase, Study Phase, Preparation Phase, Action Phase, Evocation Phase, Cleanup Phase. In the Black Rose Phase, the owner of the crown token is labeled as first player. No matter the change in crown possession this turn, that player is first until the beginning of the next turn. Event resolution occurs in the following steps. First, any events in the active spaces shift 1 space to the right. If an event is discarded, it's out of the game, and the Black Rose gains power points equal to the value on the lower right of the card. Next, the mage who would go last on this turn draws an event card from the deck and places it in the indicated space on the bottom of the card. The Black Rose gains power points both for the event entering play and potentially for leaving it. Additionally, any event cards drawn that have the crown symbol above the numeral of the moon phase allow that mage to take the crown token and will be the first player next turn. Lastly, starting with the first player, each mage that doesn't have at least 1 quest card draws one from the deck of the current moon phase. If the mage dislikes their quest, they may discard it, but the Black Rose gains power points equal to the number of the quest moon phase. Each mage is limited to 2 quests at a time, and during the game, as players complete quests, they reveal them and gain the reward listed in the power points in the bottom right. Next up, in the study phase, each player draws 2 cards from their own grimoire. Starting with the first player, each mage draws any combination of 4 cards face down from one of the 6 magic schools. Of those 4, each player keeps 2 and discards 2 of their choosing in front of their matching school. If a mage exceeds their hand limit, as listed in the top left corner of their mage sheet, they must discard to their memories area, aka discard. In the preparation phase, each mage chooses their strategy for the turn by placing 2 to 4 cards on their mage sheet face down. They must place one of these in the quick spell slot, and once everyone has placed their chosen cards, the preparation phase ends. Alignment is key. Each spell card has a normal and reverse effect, the top facing one being the active spell for the turn. Placement is also important. The order of the 3 main spells can only be resolved left to right in the upcoming action phase. The quick spell, however, is immune to the placement order of the spells. Once the preparation phase is over, spells are locked and can't be moved. Next up, the action phase. Be sure to check the active events on the event board and note when they occur. In addition to the spells on their sheet, each player has 2 physical action tokens, each with 2 options to use when activated, after which the player flips them to their expended side. Starting with the first player and moving clockwise, each mage can perform one of these possible combinations. 1 physical action, 2 physical actions, 1 physical action and 1 quick spell, 1 physical action, 1 standard spell, 1 standard spell, 1 quick spell, 1 standard or quick spell. The only combo you'll notice that is not listed is 2 standard spells. Chosen combos can be performed in any order. To activate a physical action, a player may either move up to 2 rooms and activate the room where they ended their movement, or inflict 2 damage to a target present in their current room and activate that room. These actions can't be divided to fit a spell or a second physical action between the 2. The mage then flips the token to its expended side. Spells come in 4 categories, marked in the top left. You got combat, contingency, protection, and traps. Next to each category is the spell's element, used to restrict or give bonuses for events and other spells. And finally, the target on the top right denotes how far away the legal target can be to be affected. Range in Black Rose Wars works in line of sight, and all rooms can be seen through. A target within legal distance of a spell still needs to be within line of sight of the caster. To activate a spell, the card must be chosen in the proper order and is then flipped to reveal its effect. Traps and protection spells work a bit differently. When a player declares one of these types of spells, they instead place the relevant token on the face-down card, awaiting the trigger known only to the caster. When taking damage, mages assign damage tokens from the casting mage's pool to the target's life bar from left to right. When a mage runs out of open life bar slots, they are defeated and return to their cell. Count up the damage tokens based on color and award power points based on each player's damage quantity. First place receives 4 points, second receives 2, and anyone else who dealt damage to that mage receives 1 point. The mage who delivered the killing blow receives a trophy token from the defeated mage, worth points in the endgame. Return the damage tokens to their owners, and the defeated mage must spend their next turn to leave their cell if possible. Some spells are so powerful they generate instability in the room from which they are cast. Whenever a mage casts a spell card with a vortex symbol in the middle section, it produces 1 instability token of the caster's color in their current room. Some of the coolest spells in the game, evocations, allow players to summon allies to the lodge. Each mage can have a maximum of 3 evocations at once, and if any minis are missing from the reserve because they've already been cast on the battlefield, the casting mage can take one off the board and re-evoke it under their control. Players continue performing actions until they have no more to take, at which time they pass. Once all players pass, the action phase is over. In the evocation phase, each minion can move and attack. Starting with the first player, each mage may resolve all of their evocations in any order. If an evocation loses all its health points, its card is removed back to the power board. Finally, in the cleanup phase, a sequence of events occurs to resolve the turn. First, all mages move their expended spells to their memory pile. Unresolved traps are an exception to this rule. Mages may opt to retrieve them to their hand at this time, playable in a future turn. Next, reset all the activation tokens on the board to their available side. Then, check which rooms have become unstable and award the activation token to the mage with the most instability tokens in that room. Finally, check to see if any mage or the Black Rose have reached or exceeded 30 power points, at which point the game ends and players count their points. Otherwise, a new turn begins. To calculate the final score, players tally the following items. Quests. The mage who completed the most quests receives 6 power points, second place receives 3, and any other mage with at least 1 completed quest gains 1 point. Trophies. Mages count the trophies they won from defeated players. First place gets 4 points, second gets 2, and anyone with at least 1 trophy gains a point. Unstable rooms. The activation tokens acquired from destroying rooms are each worth points as well. Finally, the current crown bearer gains 1 point. The mage with the highest score wins and becomes the Grand Master of the Black Rose Order. And that's Black Rose Wars! I'm Becca Scott. And this was a long one. Whew. When's lunch? Oh, also, you can watch me play this game and other awesome games on Game the Game right here on Geek and Sundry. See you there.